I have 7 o'clock. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have public comments now, and those wanting to make comments not related to an item on the agenda can do so at this time. Those at the there was no one on the speaker list now, so if you would please state your name and address for the record and sign in at the podium for those listening and watching this evening. Each speaker has 5 minutes, and so you're welcome to come forward now. Okay. Anyone interested in speaking to us? Hi. Hello there. Welcome.
Sign in here. Good evening. My name is Allison Rude. I am a police officer recruit currently employed by the Riley County Police Department. I won't state my personal address on the public record just for safety reasons. Each recruit officer is assigned what's called a neighborhood portfolio exercise, or NPE for short, as we call it. The purpose of the NPE is for new officers to connect and build relationships with specific areas of the community while identifying ways the police department can better serve or address quality of life issues in that area. I was assigned the 1700 block of Fairchild Avenue, just south of Kansas State University's campus here in Manhattan. I've dedicated a large portion of time to meeting with citizens, residents in the area, speaking with them, and I've noticed several common themes in the feedback I've received from these citizens. Have prepared a brief summary to bring before the Commission for consideration. From January of 2019 to December 21, parking problems and traffic accidents accounted for roughly 38% of all citizen calls for service called into the police department. There is currently street parking available on one side of the street, but the roadway is so narrow that even with one-sided street parking, it's much more narrow than other streets in nearby residential areas, and it's very congested, causing accidents, causing lots of parking problems. I personally responded to the area on duty after being dispatched to a parking problem last week. I couldn't find a place to park my patrol unit. I had to park in the no parking zone with my emergency lights on. Multiple residents I've spoken to have suggested potentially making the 1700 block of Fairchild a one-way street to ease some of that congestion. I think it's important to note the 1800 block of Fairchild is already a one-way street, so it wouldn't require any further adjustment for that solution, so I think this would be practicable. Another common theme I've noted when speaking with residents in the area is the need for street lighting in the area. I spoke to the owners of the Anderson Bed and Breakfast there in the 1700 block of Fairchild, who reported a lot of nuisance type related activity believed to be caused by intoxicated pedestrians wandering home from Aggieville Business District late at night. Street lighting is a research-backed deterrence method because it removes a lot of the concealment and anonymity that darkness provides. There's also a lot of students who reside in the area, specifically Greek students, fraternity, sorority houses in the area. I spoke to a sorority sister at the Alpha Zeta Delta house who reported she doesn't feel safe a lot of times walking back from her parking place to the house after returning from studying on campus just because it's dark. As a young woman who is not much older than this college student was, I empathize with not wanting to walk in the dark by yourself at night. The last thing that they brought to my attention was the yellow zone parking in different areas of the neighborhood. A permit zone is required to park there between 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. One of the sorority sisters I spoke to reported they have 50 members who live in the house and about 30 parking spaces in their chapter facilities parking lot. This means that roughly 20 members have to park on the street every night. In doing some research, I realized that the city will only issue 3 zone permits per residence, which means there's roughly 17 people with no zone permit and nowhere to park. $15 fine is the current parking fine for the yellow zone permits. It may not seem like a large amount, but hypothetically, if a student were to receive 1 ticket per week, that adds up to $240 a semester, or $480 for the school year. This student I spoke with also stated that there is an option to park a little farther away and not risk getting a parking ticket, but most of the sisters don't do that because, again, they don't feel safe walking home in the dark. In my professional opinion, this zone needs to be re-examined. No resident should be fined for not having a zone pass when the city will not allow them to purchase one, and no person should have to choose between keeping themselves safe and avoiding a parking ticket in their own neighborhood where they live and reside, go to school. In closing, I would like to clarify that I do not personally reside in this area. However, I do have a vested interest in the safety of the community and feel duty-bound to advocate for the citizens I am sworn to serve. In keeping with our CPD's mission to reduce crime and improve the quality of life for these citizens that we serve, I'd humbly ask the Commission to consider these issues that were brought to my attention by some citizens. Thank you for your time, and I greatly appreciate each of your efforts invested in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have a chance to look at one block at a time ever, so.
It's a luxury that I've enjoyed very much.
Appreciate hearing from you. Does anyone else wish to speak during this public comment period? Okay. I will close the public comment period then. And next is the commissioner comments, and I think I'm supposed to say something. The items on the commissioner comments. John? When?
I was going to say, so I don't know how the weather is going to be tonight or tomorrow, but please be safe. Make sure you take your time driving if you need to. Like I said, you just never know with the weather. I don't know if we're going to get 1 inch of snow, 0 snow, 10 inches of snow. I have no idea. But I do know our crew has been on it, and hopefully you make the best choices for your family possible under the conditions. I haven't heard from USD 383, but I believe K-State campus is closed tomorrow. I also wanted to say the city has a housing survey out. So if you have about 10 minutes, please do fill out the survey. It's very important, as in 2023, 10% of the sales tax revenue will be going to, from the sales tax initiative that was passed, will be going to workforce housing. And we're doing a study to make sure we are using those funds adequately and appropriately, and your input is extremely important. So just take a few minutes to fill that out, pass it on to other neighbors and anybody else in the community as well. Thank you.
None? I'm just, in addition to K-State being closed tomorrow, I understand that the Riley County Senior Center is closed also. Director Dennis Butler of RCPD was here earlier this evening for one final farewell, and we have especially appreciated working with him. He has been a really good director for this community, and so we thank him. And now we're ready for the consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are those of a routine and housekeeping nature, or those which have previously been reviewed by the City Commission. A commissioner may request an item be moved to the end of the general agenda for more discussion. Does the commission have any questions or comments on any of the consent agenda items?
Yeah, I have one on the Lee Mill edition. It's item E2. And I understand, we've got a real estate deal here to sell lots 30, 31, and 32. What I don't understand is why we're going to, in addition to that, pay off the specials from years 22 to 28, because isn't that something that the buyer should be responsible for?
Commissioners, Jason Hilgers, Deputy City Manager. We've been advertising the lots out at Lee Mill since we bought them with this scenario, that if you buy the lot roughly at 30 grand a lot, we can pay those specials off. Our motivation here is to get the specials paid off. Once they buy them, they build on them, now they're a producing property tax generator for the community. The history here of the 35 lots, sold 19 to Canyon Creek, basically half the price, at about 15 grand a lot, and we paid off all the specials. So we've been out there advertising this strategy from day one. Get us enough to pay the specials off, the debt that's been issued and out the door, and get these lots back to a property tax producing property within the community. So if we want to change that strategy, we'll need to retool and give our real estate agents a different direction.
I was just curious, because when I looked at the sales contract, it didn't really say that. It said, buyers aware that there's so much left on the specials. So that's not really officially in the contract. Shouldn't it at least be in the real estate contract then, to say that we're gonna pay off the specials before you buy the lot?
Well, we'll wait until they pay us, and then we'll pay off the specials. We're going to use their money to go into our debt service and pay it off. So we won't pay it off before that transaction closes. That closing will put cash in our pocket, then we'll agree to pay those specials off. In reality, and Rena can correct me if I'm wrong, we'll keep the money and we'll go put it in the bond and interest fund, but those specials actually don't go away. We'll keep paying them. Now, that debt's been issued. It's not as if we make it go away. We'll just have a resource to help us pay it off.
But the nice deal on this is essentially, we're just giving away the lot for the price of the specials.
Correct.
Okay, and that just wasn't clear in there. Everybody needs to
Yep.
understand that, because as I looked at that, it didn't make sense, because, on a normal deal, if you buy it, you inherit the specials. And we're saying no, because otherwise we won't be able to unload the lots.
Yeah, and we would be competing with just about every lot out there that doesn't have infrastructure issued on it yet. That future owner is going to come petition us more than likely for infrastructure, and then they'll pay those specials. Specials are already there. The infrastructure's already there.
Okay.
We're trying to unload it so we can pay those off.
And at least these will wind up back on the property tax roll.
Correct,
So-
correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I think we're all anxious. These were purchased at a tax sale, and we're trying to recover the money that the city has in that process. So, are there any other questions about the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion? Wait, excuse me. We have an opportunity for people to make comments on the consent agenda. If you have something you'd like to say, this is the time. Seeing no one.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Brenda?
Mayor Morse,
Yes.
Fisher Hassel,
Yes?
Fisher Reddy,
Yes.
Fisher Butler,
Yes.
Fisher Mata.
Yes.
Motion carried, 5-0.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing to consider levying special assessments for general obligation bonds. And Rena Neal is the Director of Finance, and she's joined us to speak to the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This evening, we'll be discussing the May 2022 bond issuance related to our special assessment projects that have temporary notes outstanding, and they will mature in June. The city sells bonds twice a year in May and November. Our special assessment projects are included in the May series each year. We have 9 projects that will bond this May series, 7 of which were established by a petition and a resolution from developers, and then the other 2, 1100 block between Raton and Bertrand and 17th Street in Houston, were established by a public hearing. On January 18th, the City Commission set February 1st, this evening, as the date to hold the public hearing, and all property owners were notified by letter about the amount and purpose of their assessment, and the notice of public hearing was published in the Manhattan Mercury. The purpose of the hearing is to hear questions or objections from property owners concerning their assessments. We have received no calls regarding the calculation or any technical issues regarding the assessments and how the city has carried out the intent of the petition and resolution.
Rena, would you speak into one of the when you stand in the middle, you don't project well, so
Okay,
bend
thank you.
bend them or something.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Uh-huh.
In the packet, there's information regarding the cost of the assessments. The total project costs are a little bit over 1.4 million. Of that, the cost to the benefit districts is 1,227,000, and then the cost to the city at large is 244,000. Here's a map of all of the projects that are included in this issue. 1100 block alley between Raton and Bertrand, a map of those lots that are being assessed and the estimated assessment per lot. Same information for Cumberland Road and those particular Stone Creek Business Center lots, as well as Blueville Edition Unit 2. The Hartford Edition Unit 1 and 2 is for design costs only, and they are for the Ames Edition, Chapel Hill, Elijah Edition for a total of 33 lots. The Ames Edition will have some of the lots included in this May bond issue, and then the Chapel Hill and Elijah Edition and the rest of the Ames lots will be in future bond issues. 17th Street in Houston has 7 tracks listed, and they all have an equal share per lot. And then 9 of the 17 Ames Edition lots are included in this bond issue. The next steps: approve the special assessment ordinance on February 15th, and then the property owners will receive a second letter on March, and they will have until March 18th to pay off those assessments. And if they're not paid, they will be bonded in May of 2022 and amortized over 20 years and appear on the November 2022 tax statements. The bond sale will take place on May 12th, 2022. That is all regarding the special assessments. I stand for any questions.
Commissioners?
I just have one question on the 1100 block thing. Is it the city's policy to pay like 25% of alley repair type stuff, or what's our vested interest in that alley?
I would have to defer.
So
to our-
the project included stormwater improvements in the alley.
Okay.
And we take care of those. The pavement of the alley is all on the adjoining properties, but there is the city benefits from the stormwater collection, and that was the piece that was attributed to us.
There you go. Thanks, Rob. Nice ventriloquism.
All right. All right, Rena, thank you. There doesn't appear to be other questions, so thank you.
You're welcome.
If anyone is here to speak, to make public comments on the public hearing, now's the opportunity. Seeing no one, I'll close the public comment period, and we can move on. It's time for a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve first reading of an ordinance levying special assessments against the benefiting properties in the following 9 public improvement districts: 1100 Block Alley between Raton and Bertrand Street, Cumberland Road, the Hartford Edition Unit 2, design only, sanitary sewer, street and water, 17th Street in Houston, sanitary sewer, and the Ames Edition, sanitary sewer, street and water.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments from commissioners? I would just say that I'm glad that we're taking care of one alley per year, I think, and I think that this is it for this year. So it's good to see a few of them being checked off the list. Okay, Brenda, would you call for the vote?
Commissioner Hattasol,
Yes.
Commissioner Reddy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Mayor Morse.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an executive session, and the commission will adjourn to another location for the executive sessions. Oh, time. 7:50. Half hour.
Mayor, I move that we recess into executive session to discuss the purchase of property for public works purposes pursuant to the exceptions set forth in KSA 75-4319B6 related to preliminary discussions related to the acquisition of real estate, and to resume the open meeting at 7:50 PM in the City Commission room.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter executive session. Brenda, would you call the roll? City
Commissioner
clerk?
Reddy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Mayor Morse,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattasol.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. And so we'll be back in half an hour.
$7.50? Oh, Mike's still.
She said that she would be able to
Just say here. Okay, it's 7:50. We are out of executive session, and I need to state that no binding action was taken during the executive session. Therefore, no vote in the open meeting is needed. And so we're ready for the next motion for a second executive session.
John's got it.
Okay. I move we recess into executive session to discuss a complaint and inquiry pursuant to the exception set forth in KSA 75-4319B2 related to the exception for consultation with legal counsel on matters that would be deemed privileged in an attorney-client relationship, and to resume the open meeting at 8:10 p.m. in the City Commission room.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Mayor Morse,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattasol,
Yes?
Commissioner Reddy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
No. The executive session has ended, and I just want to advise that no binding action was taken during the executive session, therefore no vote in the open meeting is needed. Thank you for attending, and the meeting has ended.